Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. Now, we've been covering the Luigi Mangione suppression hearing in New York State for the last 2 days intensively. And at the end of yesterday, there was an event that we'll be working on today, I believe, I hope. Suddenly, after a long day of Joseph Detweiler, Altoona PD, going over his video and the arrest in the McDonald's and talking, there was some talk about medical masks and COVID. Judge Caro suddenly said, does the defense have something they want to bring up? And I believe it was Jacob Kaplan said, yes, we want to seal all the exhibits. It could prejudice our client. And Judge Caro asked the prosecutor, what do you say? And they said, we defer to your honor. Which now makes sense. I got an email from them saying that, these exhibits are not trial exhibits, so make it clear it's not their fault. But they could have opposed it. Or they could have, the press could have been allowed to speak, but it wasn't. There was a case cited called Daily News versus Wiley, in which some exhibits were allowed to be withheld. But the court, in that case, said explicitly, only if the press is given an opportunity to be heard before. Well, there was no opportunity to be heard. In fact, in even beginning to speak amongst ourselves in the gallery, we were told to be quiet, etc. It's not really the court officer's fault. It's the fault, I must say, I believe, is with Justice Gregory Caro. I don't think he should have done a sealing proceeding with no advance notice, and he should have said, does anyone want to oppose this? This often happens in federal court. In fact, in federal court, you can stand up and say, may I be heard? And if they say no, you sit down. But here, you couldn't say that. It was... So we're going to try to do something about this. In fact, I'm not even going to put this up until I've done something about it. That said, let's go forward. Today on the Epstein files, well, this will be also financial and UN. We'll tie it all together on the way to the courthouse. Today at noon, Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers, or Ghislaine Maxwell herself from her cushier jail, has a filing due about the unsealing request. Now, some are saying it's just for the transcripts, but it's not. It's for all discovery in the case, so it could be pretty interesting. We're going to report on that. The Epstein estate has a filing due. I don't know if it's going to go in the docket, though. Kind of strange. This is another unsealing possible issue. Let's see. We did publish the Epstein estate's privilege log because it was public. That's it. Okay, now, financial. OCC. They've written to the Senate saying that they take the Epstein files issues very seriously, any wrongdoing. Well, Fair Finance Watch wrote to the OCC about a number of JPMorgan Chase applications and said you must dig into this and to some debanking issues, which they also say they take seriously. Yesterday we received a letter from the OCC saying, thanks, but no thanks. No hearing, no extension of the comment period. We'll look at it on the CRA file. Wait a second. This is not about a CRA file. This is about, which I also care about, but this is about Jeffrey Epstein and massive sex trafficking conspiracy, Jamie Dimon, Jess Staley. So they said, you weren't specific enough what you wanted in the hearing. It's pretty specific, and we're going to be more specific when stuff gets unsealed. So we've asked, I don't know, we'll see what happens with that. Now let's turn to the UN, because they also have enabled, Epstein was always around the UN throwing around money, but Ghislaine Maxwell was inside the UN giving a press conference. I attended it, and then I was thrown out of the UN for asking questions how it could be that Antonio Guterres, the current Secretary General, has one of only 5 representatives on Maxwell's Terramar project board. What is his role? What's his relation? Well, today, Antonio Guterres will appear at something called Reuters Next. I don't know if it's a for pay only. I'm going to try to check it out, because he'll also appear at something December 12th where giving an award to Reuters. So it's a little strange. And we're going to check it all out. But for now, actually, we may be heading over in that direction. 100 Center Street, Inner City Press, on the case.